What is going on, guys? Trader Kaz here. Just wanted to record a quick video talking about the market. We've seen some really nice moves across the board. A lot of coins went up like 10-15% yesterday, so wanted to get some TA out there, kind of talk about what I'm looking for going forward, and how I want to position myself, and some higher time frame stuff too. So we will jump into all that in a sec, but first, real quick, shout out to Bybit. They're the sponsor of this video. I have a Bybit link in the description if you want to check it out. And they're doing a 0% maker fee until August 19th. So if you use that code, no fees on maker orders, on limit orders until August 19th. So pretty cool promo there. So let's jump into it. A couple days ago, Bitcoin was trading above this range high, and actually I originally had it laid out like this, but I think it makes more sense using this high, and the reason I think that fits better is because of how this weekly candle respected it, and because it was because this level was respected so much by the weekly close. I think that's the more significant level to watch. So I adjusted my range. Excuse me. I adjusted my range a little bit accordingly. And looking back at it now, we had, trading view skills. We had this move above, broke down below, retested it, rejected, came down to the origin of this move, and wicked in. Took out Monday's low, which is where the really clean setup was. If we zoom in, here was Monday's low, traded below it. As soon as we flipped it, you can see here was our break in structure. Actually, you could argue it was this one already, but we didn't flip Monday's low on that move. You can see we closed one candle just above it, but then rejected. Here, closed above, little impulsive move if you want to zoom in a little more. Above Monday's low, and then retested it, pushed up from there, Monday's high, bang. That's a very common trade that I will take. Worked out really well this time. I love to use Monday's range in my trading. You'll see that a lot if you follow me for a while and see my charts on Twitter or Discord or in the streams. I'm a big proponent of Monday's range. So market's looking pretty solid. Equities had a nice move up today as well. They've kind of been stuck more so in a range, which we also have, but Ethereum specifically has kind of broken out of this range, and we'll see if this is actually what's happening or if we're still kind of range bound, which Bitcoin looks like it's more range bound, but testing that right now, so we'll talk about that a little more. So now we're trading above the range high, above Monday's high, and there's a lot of thin air here, right? So this nuke happened really fast. There was no support or resistance built up in this region. We do have a little bit of structure here standing in our way, right? Like maybe this high, and obviously like this is where we got rejected. You could look at this 4-hour supply. I'll draw that out because I do think that is valid. I think I use this one, just the gray. That's a little light. Bear with me. Let's do 50. Okay. And this would be a sweep into supply setup if it happened, right? So we had this high. If it takes out that high into supply, that could be a possible short opportunity. But with all that being said, there is this level around 24K and about like literally nothing between 24.3 and 27-ish. So we're at a pretty pivotal region here, and I mean this was a pretty clear downtrend. We broke out of that, and so now the most important thing we need to see is whether or not this puts in a that's a little deep. If this puts in a higher low and then is able to flip this, or if this is just a lower high right here and it comes back down again. I am kind of leaning towards this being the start of more upside, but that doesn't mean we can't pull back a bit first. This move clearly is a bit extended. There's probably some divs. Yeah, this is actually a really clean hourly div. So I think things cool off for a little bit, but in general, I do think we see some more upside. As far as long scenarios go, this was a pretty inefficient move, similar to the nuke down from here that I think gets filled. I think it's possible that this gets filled as well, right? So it's still pretty early in the week, and I think a pullback, maybe some consolidation here to build some volume, build some PA in this region, and then getting back above Monday's high would be a pretty ideal scenario. So that's one long scenario I think you can look for. I think you could short this here. I mean, we had this high and this high that we are just about to be below. If we zoom in a little more and draw a range here, so a classic range setup, right? We pushed above the highs and now we've broken down below them. So I think this would make some sense as a short. Something like this. That would be your invalidation. I'd probably target Monday's mid. It's a 2.7 hour trade. And if it got back above here and consolidated, you could probably try and cut it early. But I think that looks pretty good for right now. Fill in a bit of this inefficiency, and then going into the end of the week, I think we could trend a bit more again. So to summarize, the TLDR would be near term, I think we cool off a little bit, pull back, consolidate, because this was a pretty explosive move. But then bigger picture, I am looking for more upside. I think I would definitely like to see us take out that high, and that at that point, that's when you need to be a little bit cautious to see whether this is just going to be a lower high or if we can flip this region. If we can flip that, I think we're going to be in for some fun. On Ethereum, I actually noticed this kind of fractal earlier today. This reminded me of the 6K floor, and I was talking with some people, and I was like, you know, logic says it should be pretty difficult to break this very clear support on the first try. But that's also how we felt when Bitcoin was retesting 6K from below way back here. It was like, all right, this is a super obvious resistance level. I feel like it's very unlikely we break this on the first try. And I mean, you can argue that it stalled briefly, but then it ended up just ripping through that level. So that's not necessarily what I think is the most likely scenario, but it is something I want to keep in mind. I know macroeconomic conditions and all that don't look super favorable, but a lot of money is sidelined right now. And I'm not saying that this would have to be the start of some crazy bull run. I think if you zoom out, Ethereum could bounce up to this region or this region. I guess that's not that much higher from here. Maybe like, whatever, 2K. This could bounce to 2K or to 2.5, and this structure would still be pretty bearish, and we could do something like this, whatever happens. Who knows? I'm just saying I don't want to completely discount the idea that this move could have some legs to it. And if Ethereum flips this level, I think we definitely want to long that up to 25 or 2,500. And I think that would probably line up pretty well with Bitcoin flipping this region and longing that up to around 28. Ethereum definitely has been a bit stronger. Like this right here is the region that we're looking for Ethereum to flip, and Bitcoin is pretty far behind that. So we just want to play that accordingly. if we pull up the ETH BTC chart really quick, we can take a look at that relationship. I remember when we broke down from this trend line, it was like, oh no, it's finally broken the uptrend. But I mean, if you zoom out, Ethereum has been ETH BTC has been in a bull market since mid 2019. If I had to do some TA on this, I would probably just pull up a range right here. I think that is pretty clean. We've been trading in this region for a really long time. Took out range lows, got back above, impulsive move to the mid-range, stalling around the mid-range a little bit, and now we'll see if this holds here and pushes up again to range highs. But overall, this, like, I wouldn't really be fading this right here. That doesn't mean there can't be some near-term pullback, like it could just consolidate here for a while. But as a whole, ETH BTC does look bullish. Let me see if there's anything I want to look at with Sol. Sol is also pretty far from this consolidation floor, whatever you want to call it. Like 81 for Sol is the same as 2.5K for Ethereum, which is the same as like 35K for Bitcoin. And this structure also looks quite a bit different because Ethereum, for instance, just consolidated at an SR level here and then nuked down starting on like June 10th, whereas this was kind of downtrending the entire time, and then June 10th was here, it just pushed down further. So there isn't a super obvious like floor that some of the other coins have. So it makes it a little bit more tricky to know like where that confirmation level would be before we'd feel pretty good about a push up to around 80. I think what makes the most sense would probably be this. Something like that. You can see price held this level for a while, finally broke down, retested resistance, and then here tested it again as resistance, and it held pretty strong. I know that's still a little ways away. That's 47, but from a macro perspective, flipping that would make a move up to 80 look pretty solid in my opinion. And then let me talk about Atom and AVAX really quick, and then we'll wrap this up. I was talking about this from a like very high time frame perspective. I thought it looked pretty solid. You can see this has been a pretty significant region this entire time. We broke down below it, came above, and now it actually has held as support, this gray region. So it'll be interesting to see if this can continue to hold, but if it does, kind of the same as some of the other stuff, we have a big inefficiency to fill there. And even though I think a move like this would make sense, it definitely doesn't need to happen like right now. Like this could do something like this for a while and then make that leg up. So I wouldn't like buy Atom right now thinking in the next month it's just going to go to $20. But the longer we hold above this SR level, the more likely I think that move would be. And AVAX, I think, also looks pretty similar from that perspective. Like this was a really obvious floor in price, stalled there a bit, resistance, was able to smash through it, support, 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 like a lot of recency with this being a strong SR level. And then now we're kind of getting back above it, depending on how exactly you want to draw it. Like if we just look at it with this, like the recency here, you'd probably do it something like this. I mean, if you want to catch that wick. SR, like it's not always going to be one perfect line. It's going to be more so a region. So that's how I like to visualize SR. Like here we had a test, here, here, and then resistance, 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 closed below, broke back above. Let's see if it can hold above this level. If it can, this looks good for a nice leg up as well. So I think that pretty much wraps it up. As a whole, I think near term, we probably see a little bit of downside or at least consolidation. But big picture, I am looking for these to push higher a bit. How much higher is the question, and that's why I'll be watching 23.7, 23.8 on Bitcoin, and this gray area as a whole. And really, if we're able to get above that, then Ethereum's going to look really good for a leg up. AVAX, Sol, literally like everything will look really good for a nice leg up if we're able to flip that and then just fill a bunch of this thin air. So that's the current view on the market. I'll be sure to update you guys on Twitter if anything changes, or if I take some other trades, I can try and post those on Twitter. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll be posting another one again soon. And if you want to support the channel, you can check out that Bybit link down below. And be sure to subscribe while you're here. Peace.